Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into what many consider Ernest Hemingway's masterpiece, For Whom the Bell Tolls. It's an absolutely profound story about love, duty, and sacrifice, all set against the really brutal backdrop of the Spanish Civil War.
But here's the thing. To really, truly get to the heart of this novel, we first have to understand this very specific kind of character that Hemingway pretty much perfected. So our whole journey today is going to start with this one big question. What exactly is a Hemingway hero? So, to answer that, we're going to start by breaking down this iconic figure, and we'll meet the man who embodies it completely, the novel's protagonist, Robert Jordan.
Okay, this definition really nails it. We're not talking about your typical caped crusader. This is someone who maintains control, not because they don't have emotions, but because they choose to master them. They're living by their own rules in a world that, frankly, has none.
And our perfect case study for this is the protagonist of For Whom the Bell Tolls, Robert Jordan. He's an American dynamiter, a volunteer fighting for the Republican cause, and as you're about to see, he is the absolute quintessential Hemingway hero.
To really get inside Jordan's head, we're going to look at him through the lens of these 5 core traits. Think of them as building blocks. Each one stacks on top of the other to create this incredibly complex, compelling character who's just trying to live with some kind of purpose in a world of absolute chaos.
You know, that code of honor is a really crucial piece of the puzzle. It isn't about society's laws or what other people think is right. Nope, it's an internal moral compass. You can see it right here. Jordan values things like courage and competence, but he absolutely despises cowardice and betrayal. This personal code becomes his anchor in the murky, morally gray world of war, and it guides every single decision he makes.
Okay, so now let's dig into how Hemingway actually lets us see inside Jordan's mind. Because what we find is that his character isn't just defined by what he does right now, in the present, but by the past that is constantly haunting him. Hemingway uses flashbacks in such a deliberate, powerful way. They aren't just filler, a simple info dump of backstory. No, they are the psychological key that unlocks everything. The motivations, the fears, driving not only Robert Jordan, but the other characters too.
A perfect example of this is Jordan's memory of his father, who took his own life. This event creates this deep, internal conflict for him. It leaves Jordan constantly grappling with what courage really means, and he is absolutely determined not to fall into that same kind of despair.
And then there's the memory of his mentor, General Goals. Goals is a total pragmatist, almost a cynic, really. And his wisdom acts as this constant counterbalance to any romantic ideas Jordan might have about war. It forces him to see the conflict for what it is, not some grand adventure, but a brutal, morally complicated reality.
And the flashbacks aren't just about Jordan. Through Maria's fragmented, incredibly traumatic memories, we get a gut-wrenching view of the war's true horror on innocent people. This not only hammers home the violence, but it also makes her relationship with Jordan, this tiny little beacon of hope, feels so precious and incredibly fragile.
So all of this, his code, his past, his love for Maria, it all builds to one of the most famous and debated endings in all of literature. Let's get right into that final fateful choice and break down what makes it just so unbelievably powerful. So I want you to picture this. The bridge is destroyed. The mission is a success. But Robert Jordan's leg is completely shattered. He can't escape with the others. He's alone, lying on a pine needle forest floor. The enemy is closing in, and he knows he is going to die. Now, the immediate reaction is, of course, that this is pure tragedy. A hero cut down in his prime, a love lost forever. It's just an unforgettable picture of defeat. But what if that's just the surface? What if seeing it as only a tragedy means we're missing the deeper layers that Hemingway so carefully built? To really understand this ending, we have to peel it back layer by layer. There are 5 key ways to look at it that completely transform it from a simple tragedy into something much, much more profound. Let's walk through them one by one.
By exploring these different layers, we can start to see how they all combine to reveal the true meaning of Jordan's sacrifice and really the enduring power of this whole novel.
This pretty much sums it up. You have 2 core ways to see this ending. On one hand, yeah, it's a story of brutal, devastating loss. But on the other hand, it's a powerful affirmation. Jordan's final moments are a pragmatic choice to save his friends, a final act of love for Maria, and an act of pure defiance. He will not be captured, and he will not give in.
And here's what makes it so powerful. We never actually see him die. The story just cuts off right as he's about to act. Now, this ambiguity is completely intentional.
Hemingway doesn't give us a neat little bow at the end. Instead, he forces us, the reader, to sit with the full weight of that sacrifice and decide for ourselves what it all means.
And that brings us to the ultimate question the novel leaves us with. It's not really about winning or losing the war. It's about something so much deeper. How can one person's sacrifice, in what seems like a totally lost cause, still resonate with such powerful, life-affirming meaning? That is the question that beats at the very heart of For Whom the Bell Tolls.